Good morning. Thank you for inviting me to speak here today. I thought long and hard about it as all my life I've fought against labels being put on me. I'm also a very private person, so telling my story makes me feel vulnerable. I'm here to tell you my lived experience. When I was born in 1972, my mother wore a wedding ring even though she was not married. The shame surrounding having a baby out of wedlock in Ireland was huge. She did not want to bring shame onto her family. She didn't want the neighbours finding out. When you look at the definition of illegitimate and words related to it, I can understand why my mother wore a wedding ring. Before I was 2 years old, my parents got married and I became legitimate, or in other words, legal. As a young girl, I did not dream of growing up and becoming a lone parent. I dreamt of the fairy tale that a lot of young girls dream of, to grow up, have my own home, get married and have children. Fast forward to when I was 21 years old. I had a happy childhood, a great education, and I was working very successfully in the IT sector. I was living with my boyfriend and we were very much in love. When we discovered I was pregnant, we were surprised but delighted. Rather than saving for a wedding, we saved for and bought a house. My daughter was born in October 1994 and it was the happiest day of my life and still my proudest achievement. We decided to give her father's surname as we knew we would eventually get married. Shortly after she was born, the relationship broke down and we decided to part. I was left with a new baby and a mortgage on my own. I realised then that the fairy tale was over. I became a lone parent family. I tried to make the best of it. My mortgage and my childcare costs were equal. Even though I was in a very well-paid job, I was left with very little disposable income. The struggle was daily, as I'm sure it is for many families today. The unexpected came when I had to deal with statutory agencies and assumptions and judgments were made of me. During my daughter's education, parent-teacher meetings, etc., I was called Mrs. and my ex's surname. When I corrected them and said Miss, I would get that look. I imagined they would be thinking she's one of those single, unmarried mothers. These stereotypical responses came from different members of society. I would hear statements such as, you made your bed so you can lie in it, or you shouldn't have gotten yourself pregnant. Well, I didn't do it on my own. However, I was parenting alone. Even though my daughter had a relationship with her father all through her life and still does, most of the difficult decisions were left to me. When I was travelling outside of the country, I needed a letter for permission from her father to bring my child with me because she had a different surname than me. My story mirrors a lot of stories. I have a voice today for a cohort of society who are voiceless most of the time. A description of the Irish Constitution from the Citizens' Information states that the Constitution establishes the branches or organs of government. It established the courts and it sets out how those institutions should be run. It also describes the fundamental rights of every Irish citizen. Article 41 of the Constitution of Ireland protects the rights of the family and contains several provisions imposing duties on the state. Point 1 recognises the family as the natural, primary and fundamental unit of society. As Professor Siobhan Mullally said in her presentation, point 3.1 obliges the state to guard with special care the institution of marriage on which the family is founded. The family is founded on marriage. As you can see from Article 41.3.1, the family is founded on the institution of marriage. Because I chose not to marry, does that make me and my child not a family? I have to disagree and say that my family unit is very strong, and I'm disappointed, as stated in the definition of the Constitution, that my family is abnormal or wrong or illegal in some way because we don't fit into the definition of the traditional family as stated. Surely the question should be, what's the fundamental rights of every Irish citizen? My daughter and I have a wonderful relationship. She's 25 now and still living at home with me. Maybe that has a lot to do with the economy, but rather than a love for me, but I'll take it. Sinead.